I'm Seamless, and continuing, this is the next video where we are going to build onto the kick we have already made inside our Superior Drummer 3 setup. We're going to make a snare in the same setup. So, in here, what's also just good about the snares in this kit is that they really wanted to make sure that you had every capacity to use basically every kind of snare, tone, or sound you wanted. And there are other snares in other kits, and they even when you find the same snare in the other kits, there's differences. There's differences of like texture and position and just care, like whatever the engineer was doing and how they cared, why. It's different. But with these collections of snares, you can get there. You know, they let you. And on top of that, there's also the extra fun support stuff. So this one, we did that with this. That's there. That's fine. And there is also synth snares that we could do to do that, but that's not what we're going to do for this guy. This one happens to be my personal favorite, the super sensitive mid-70s option here. And I'm going to load onto them. Add to rim shot, which is what I go to do like the impactful hit the hardest moment. This is the one that's going to get the support. So I'm going to get the support by going to a particular pack. This is an EZX. It's an Easy Drummer expansion. And this you can use Easy Drummer expansions in Superior Drummer. And what this one is for is to support, oh, I have a lot of snares. It's to support kicks and snares with built-in synthetic help in the same way that you would basically do with a lot of surgery to do your sound. Like you would already, like I've done it plenty. But this stuff is designed to just do it. It does not 100% matter about the tone of the particular snare, because that's not what we're going to get out of this. Let's grab the snare, for example. If we go to our route instrument microphones, we see some things. So here's our main snare. Here's all the stuff it has going on, and then here's all this and what it's got as options. And I don't care about these because this is the actual snare. Like these are the actual pieces of the snare. Except for this one, but like these are real, but that I'm not 100% sure if that's real, but I also don't want it because it's like actual like kick level sub, which for some genres matters, not for what I care about doing. For this though, like that kind of support, and then that kind of support. That's the skin, right? And then that kind of support. So really, I usually get these two, the low and the stick. Maybe I'm not gonna with this today though. I think I might just grab this. So here's the fun thing about this like piece of reinforcement right there. You might look at that and go, okay, but I see where there's like a fundamental, so why isn't there like a main pillar where it is? In fact, do you see that? Do you see that puzzle piecing that this is doing? So smart. Like he really gave it to us to let us do this, like and have this for us. I love it. I do. And we have our other, like I'm only using this one now, right? Yeah, so the rest of these can go away. So we're gonna have this one be our snare fundamental and our snare main. So these buses I'm having are only here because they're gonna get like specific output instructions so that I can do in like a regular song things like I want to sidechain stuff to different material. But what's important about the snare is that the snare's actual tone is going to be created out of like some stuff. We're gonna compress it and things like that. But I'm also gonna high pass it, which means that like this fundamental stuff isn't really gonna be out. It's not going to come out by itself, except it is, because I just totally told it to. Because on top of being able to do this, I can also just route it into the next bus. Isn't that fun? So let's make sure I'm routing out what I need to have in here. So this goes to snare. Snare. And then everything else goes with the air. So now we're basically at the point where I need to have some kind of test for something. I need to, like, I would normally just write some things, but guess what? In this whole grooves tab, there's also just the availability of every kind of drum pattern, thought, or just desire for anything you could possibly want. And fear not, like you can see like, oh, this drag MIDI is a song block. You can write some songs in there. Like, yeah, you could do that if you want to, but if you don't want to, you also don't have to. You can just take what's here, go to a piano roll, pop, and look at that. Look at that. Like, wow. You see how this one's got like the hit on the hit, and then like this is also a snare sound. But that's the one that's the most on, and that's the one that's gonna get the reinforcement. On top of that, the reinforcement's only going to engage at its maximum velocity, just like with the kick. At least, did we do that? Yes, we did. Of course, if they don't ever play any other velocity of that particular articulation, then it's always just gonna do it. But in case I did, or I just did it by accident, like now, I won't get overbearing reinforcement during moments that don't need it, because you don't need a lower velocity sub-enforcement. Multi-band, and then normal compress. I'll do it with this one. No, not this one. The 76. That's what I wanted. Doop, doop. On top of that, I'm going to put an EQ on the bottom of the snare so that it's mostly its high self. It's good to have a set to test it with when you're doing that kind of thing. So yeah, now my actual snare tone has the thing in it, and then I have my actual support just kind of out there, which will be way useful for a sidechain source for the melodic components. But internally though, that's not entirely important. So this is our main kind of like main power snare guy that like when pushed won't break. Which is important because on top of this guy being like, I'm gonna build up a whole kit that gets all nice and compressed together. What this is for is to be designed to be put into a mix in such a way that you do not need to really do post things besides leveling, and that's enough to get the job done. Yeah. So more adjustment. I'm actually gonna add like the effects choice for the hitmaker, but for the snare because this is also really good snares. I just love this turbo kit. Like it's such the thing. Like wow, how on is that? All right, let's put you. Yeah, amp mid. Oops, like you, like the other guy. And then in there, what I'll do is I'll bring them down the same way so that that level is adjusted. Although I wonder if it's actually already brought down. We'll find out. Nope. Totes. And we got our impact still there. Got our snare. This dude. I'm looking for how long like the particular kick sample is like in the air, and it's pretty long. So one thing I like about the fact, like right here, that the snares and the dynamic, it doesn't actually need to be there; it needs to be here. And one value about having them be here is I can slow these down or make them shorter without involving the cymbals when they come in. That's also like a bit of a superpower, because normally like this is being given to you like it's microphone positions in a kit, and you wouldn't normally be able to do this, to be able to selectively change how loud each individual hit is in the same microphone. It's not physically possible, but it is if you do it like this, and it gives you unprecedented control over just everything you're doing, as per usual. And I dig it. Wait, I got that effects kick, and I got brought the effects there. Which is you. Yes. I so love that when you name the buses, they show up in the name as here. It makes routing like 1 billion times easier. I can't overstate how easy it is compared to the older versions of Superior Drummer to live in Superior Drummer 3. Like, this is just like using a DAW. It's not even as annoying as using a DAW. But it is like as together. Like, very few plugins are this well thought out. That's for damn sure. Yeah. All right, so we got our snares going, and we have basically our perfect bottom end configuration of like what's our lowest power and what's our highest like high contrast power. In the next video, we'll assemble the toms, which won't be as long as either of these because they don't really have as much like requirements, but they do have things to consider. And then once we're done doing the toms, we will do with all the metals. And then we'll have the whole kit together, and then probably in that video we'll also take care of like actual mixing stuff, but that might just be a separate video. We'll find out when we get there. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of that fun stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.